leaves us closing just a bit shy of the market maker's expected move for the upside today, but we did make a new all-time high end of day. So, but lower low, higher high for today on Friday. It's a bounce back to trend. Retested the trend on ES at 61.48 and broke back up to the upside of 61.3850. Obviously, this hasn't moved back into the trend yet. This could still fail and fall back, especially given how rapid the pump was. But still a pretty bullish end of the day. The reversal a little higher than support at 61.13. Dollars up on the day, but still looks like it's breaking down over time. Very slight turnaround here. Definitely not a reversal, but enough that yields rose pretty dramatically today. Commodities up pretty substantially, actually. It looks like energy and precious metals kind of leading the way there. Correlation. Looks like correlation pushed down a little bit into the end of the day. Some short-term dispersion trade coming in to help that pump out after breaking down for the majority of the day. Still not a lot of big moves in 3-month correlation. Pretty much everything in the 1 month. So it's very likely that this top isn't very sustainable unless we start seeing some longer dated positioning come in, which it's not going to do. Leverage on the carry trade ramped up pretty hard today. Went from prior close at 0.887 to a close today at almost 9.1. We saw a big turnaround in the forward yield on volatility, moving from negative 14 end of day Friday to about negative 10% today. I don't know why that's popping up on every single page. Move to 3-month core. Really nothing substantial going on there. We might see move tick up a little bit now that correlation on the 3-month is kind of starting to get close to a bottom, and we're seeing yields at the top end of the curve move up a little bit more steeply. The 10 years back to 4.55, 5 years up pretty substantially today as well. The 20-year at 4.829 and the 30 at 4.774. Skew on Friday had moved up a little. We might see a slight continuation of that today, but overall volatility was up today, so I'd say skew's probably flat. Still not picking up any breath. All of this pump is just tech. 47.51% of the S&P above its 20-day moving average. Yeah, it looks like correlation between VIX and cash VIX continuing to rise, now at about 87.39%. And still showing a distinct lack of interest in shorting volatility as VIX continues to make higher and higher lows. Part of that is, the forward yields on volatility is expected to rise. Let's see how Fed fund futures not doing anything. Bear steepener moved up by about 15% today. And S&P earnings yields have fallen against the 10-year. We now have about 20% of the S&P reported. So we got a 10-year yield at about 4.5, so a little higher than it's showing here. But S&P earnings yield is declining even further now that about 20% of the S&P is reported. And by the time we're done with earnings season, we could see that fall even more, which obviously won't be good. The last time, the S&P earnings yield fell this low was January of 2021. So it's getting pretty shitty, honestly. Let's take a look at the technicals. So with the bounce at the end of today, what we actually ended up getting was a breakout, a retest of the trend, and a test of a new all-time high, which we'll have to set here. So 61.29.57, and we'll see if we continue to get a breakout tomorrow after the end of day push today. We should. There's still a lot of interest locked up around 61.40, 61.50. We might see that in the overnight. I'm not really sure we will, though, especially if we run into resistance on the trend here on ES. But that is confirmation that this was, not a reversal on Friday, and is in fact at least the first step of a breakout to higher prices. There's no real price targets to the upside, but 61, 62, and 6206 would be kind of where I would look for us to run into some resistance a little bit under the collar. And then if should the collar break, like a 6200 test. Right now, there's really no delta to the upside there, so I'm not super concerned with it, but we'll see how it goes. Well, it sounds to me like we're going to SPX Gamma Max. Gamma Max is still pretty far out of the money. Even SPX W Gamma Max is still like 61.95. Just because we had like 5 green candles at the end of the day doesn't mean this thing isn't a liquid piece of shit, which is what it was all day. What's bullish about it besides the weak TA? I mean, it's a bullish setup. Like retesting the trend and a hard bounce to a higher high is generally considered a fairly bullish setup. And there's delta above us out to like 50, 55. There's not much delta above that, unfortunately, but this will do likely to not have much of a negative effect this week. It could. We're not that far above gamma neutral, but the early stages of SLD will need to drop us about 1%. Otherwise, no, it probably won't be very interesting. If we do fail gamma neutral, like before Friday, like if we fail gamma neutral on Wednesday, then SLD could be really bad. But we'll have to see. I mean, I will say we're not seeing more short vol pile in, so this is kind of being held up on dreams, which like there's no substantial support from the downside. There's some delta that's in the money, but if we fall, all of that delta will flip the other way and work against price improvement. If short vol was coming in a lot stronger here, VIX was going down to like 14, 13, then I might be a little bit more convinced that they're able to push this a lot higher, but we're not seeing that yet. Oh, that's right. Tomorrow is Wednesday. I forgot. It's a 4-day week. Yeah, so SLD starts tomorrow along with FOMC minutes. So maybe they try to get the rest of their positioning out up at like 61.50 before the FOMC minutes drop. Because, I mean, the FOMC minutes is going to tell the market exactly what they don't want to hear, which is the Fed has no intention of cutting rates anytime soon. Are we going to trade here for the next 10 years? Don't talk about that. Or that way. Rude. Anyway, I'll catch you guys later. Everybody have a great night. See ya.